Hello everyone, my name is Creator and today I'm going to be showing you how to bounce. Okay, I'm not just telling you how to bounce, but how to angle your armor effectively in War Thunder to result in bounces. But first, we need to learn about sloped armor and armor angling first, before we can get to actual use in combat. So, the Tiger is a great example for this, because it's a very boxy tank, and to make the most out of its thick armor, you need to angle it, because there are lots of tanks in the game, including the M4 Sherman, that can penetrate with raw penetration values the front of this tank. If I check the M4 stats, this is the standard M4, let's see here, 109mm penetration with standard ammo with the high explosive filler. It has 109 millimeters of penetration. The Tiger on this plate is 102, and didn't even think about aiming for the lower glacis plate, so it can technically get through this, and it can also get through the driver's hatch. Actually, the driver's viewport, but the machine gun port, maybe if you're lucky, but don't aim there. You want to aim here or the driver's hatch, one of the two. And even then, in some spots behind this, you've got the 100mm right behind it. But there are things like the Panzer IV F2, 133mm penetration. And then if you load APCR, you've got 175 at 10 meters point blank, which is easily going to get through this and more. But what about the sides? The side is only 82mm thick. Same with the turret sides, and the turret rear, and the rear of the tank, also 80mm, although it is sloped back a bit, so it gets at 85. But essentially, I have a thing here on the other side, on my other screen here, and essentially the line of sight effective thickness equals the armor thickness. I believe it's cos 55 degrees. Just looking up here. So cos armor angle. So essentially, there's a picture here which I'm going to show you on screen. It's a cutout of a T-54 to show the effectiveness of sloping armor. Essentially, if it's sloped, it's more on an angle, which means it has to penetrate more effective line of sight armor than the actual raw thickness. So if you look here, this may only be 82mm, but then you slope it like that, and now it's closer to 200, 210, it's between 175 and 230, which, let's see here. I think it faced battle ratings of 6.7. The Tiger 2H has 232mm of penetration, which means that if you angle it enough, like that, it's going to have a tough time getting through your side armor. But at that point, you're already exposed in the front of the tank, so I'll get more on that in a minute, but what you do in that specific situation. But moving on to Overmatch. Now, just because your armor effective thickness says does not mean that it can automatically be penetrated. So if we go to here, the M4 Sherman's a better example of this. You don't want to go angling your side armor like this to higher tier tanks in it, because chances are it's going to be able to penetrate anyway, because it only has an raw thickness of 38.1mm. Not great. So if we look here, the minimum shell caliber has to be greater than the armor thickness, which most guns that this thing's going to face are most definitely, then the armor thickness times 7. Which means that the minimum shell caliber has to be greater than the armor thickness times 7. Just having to dig out calc. That's my good friend calculator. Okay. So if we do 38.1 times 7, you would need... Actually, hang on. That's wrong. Okay, never mind. You're still fine. You would need a 267mm cannon to penetrate that. Now, I don't think we have any of those in the game, so thankfully, never mind. You won't be able to overmatch this, and you should be fine with that. But with lighter armor, I thought it was something small, like 1.5, but apparently not. means that this thing can angle its armor effectively and side scrape, which is good to know. I'll get more on side scraping in a minute. But anyway, back on track. So now we know those things. So now you have a relative idea of what things can penetrate you at what angles and what can't. So I am going to jump into a Poland custom match by myself, and with bots on, and I'm going to take the Tiger and show you how to side scrape effectively. I think I can actually show you here, but it's not going to be that easy, so it's easier if I go into a custom match, so I will be right back. Okay, and we're back. We're in a custom battle on Domination Poland. This is a good map because it's a city map, and this is the easiest way to demonstrate side scraping, is on a city map. Alright. So, let's go into the town, and I'll demonstrate, see if I can get some of these AI vehicles to try and shoot at the heavily angled side armor so I can demonstrate, or not demonstrate, depending on if it works or not. It doesn't always work, so there is an odd chance that the shell will normalize, perhaps some normalization, but I'll get to that in a sec. But anyway, yeah, we'll see just how well that goes. Some enemy tanks, UNC, M4s, M4A1s, M3Ls, M43105. Those things can be a bit of an exception. I'll talk about high explosive anti-tank later in the morning. That can cause problems for the high explosive anti-tank fire, not the person receiving the shell. This is not a good place to do this. Come on. Get a good solid 90-degree corner here. That's the best place. See? Yep, there's one right there. And right there. Check this out. What you do is, you drive up to the building like this, and you drive out like this. So now, their only option is to fire at your heavily angled side armor. I'm not gonna let these guys fire a couple shots at me. All they can shoot at is the incredibly heavily angled 80mm of side armor, which these guys, if it was just flat, could penetrate. But they can't, see? Look at that. Where'd that hit? Oh, crap, one right through the front. Shoot, it's showing. Let's try that. Oh, I think the tracks ate that one. I can still shoot at these guys. See? I can easily shoot at these guys. But they can't penetrate. Come on, shoot again. Show them. Show them the power of raw armor thickness. I mean, armor angling. Fine, you want to fire me? Fine, I'll kill you. And I could just stay parked here all day, having the tracks eating the shots, and also having the side armor eat the shots. And it's just awesome like that, because they can't penetrate. And I'm just putting shot to these guys, and they can't do anything. Oh, hello!
Enemy tank has been destroyed.
You can also drive on an angle like this, and leave both front and side armor. It's making it even harder for them to penetrate.
Enemy has been destroyed.
Come on, let's just kill you puppies. Come on, reload faster. Oh, hello, Pants 3L. Angle. Come on, didn't you? Why? Okay, you can see, I got a bit lucky with that first shot, though. It went right beside the machine gun port. Got a bit lucky there. And over here, you pretty much capping. Yeah, that gives you a good idea of how side scraping should be done. Angle. Hello. You gonna shoot me? No? Shoot, I missed. That hit the gun. Oh dear. You're dead too. first be some tanks over at A. Maybe I can get another good example in. Oh, right there. Wow, you suck. But you see? That ricochet, because of the extreme angle. I did that deliberately so you can get an idea of how that looks. And this armor is so good that I could do this and still be fine because the armor is still angled fairly well. Look at that. That just shows just how effective the armor angling is. Level 4. Doctor shot right in the gun. Hi. And should have pulled the trigger, but sitting there again. Hi. You gonna shoot at me, or are you gonna let me shoot at you? Shoot at him. Okay. This AI is dumb. Wanted something a bit harder so I could demonstrate just how effective this is without getting harassed by the random matchmaking. There's someone over there. Let's fight it. But yeah, that round that pretty well sums up how sidescraping works. Oh, hello. Hi. Where'd that hit? You didn't even hit me. You're getting a bit too close. Oh, okay, ow. I'm in trouble here. I don't have any, this thing's somewhat stock, so didn't quite have the, very good. But it doesn't matter, because he won, because we held Bravo, so that about sums up how well armor angling works. So we'll move on to normalization and how high explosive anti-tank works, and how spaced armor works. Okay, so this knowledge can come in real handy if you're playing low tier. So for example, the Panzer IV-C. The average new player is probably going to get this tank first because it's the Panzer IV, it's a medium, they want that. So what they're going to do is go into modifications, and they see the god-awful penetration on this round. 56mm penetration at point-blank range? No. They're going to say, nuh-uh, this is garbage, and they're going to want to go for something else. And they see high-explosive anti-tank, and they say, ooh, 80mm of penetration? Yes, please! And then they fire it into this armor. And it may only be 30mm of effective thickness, but it'll still bounce. At least I believe that's the way it works. It'll most likely bounce. Because high explosive anti-tank hates, and I mean hates, being fired at spaced armor, which I'll get to in a sec, and rounded and sloped and angled armor. I mean, you would not want to fire high explosive anti-tank at this, because it would just bounce, because the angle is so extreme. If we look at the at this here, 30 degrees is 39mm of penetration. That's 73. So if you look at that, okay, well you have a okay chance at penetrating, but still, it doesn't like being fired at this type of slope. It just bounces harmlessly off. Because the detonator for this is on the very tip. And so if it doesn't have the same normalization properties as armor piercing, which I'll get to in a sec, and I'll probably post a picture of that as well, but it doesn't dig into the armor and activate that firing pin, and instead will detonate on the armor, won't do anything. So that's why you don't do that, because it just, even though the penetration's there, the angle is so extreme that it just completely ricochets and goes clean off. So now on to normalization. I believe this is my last topic that I'll be covering. Normalization is a good thing to know, because it only really applies to armor-piercing rounds. And I'll post a picture of it if I can right now in the video, is that when you hit an angled slope, I need to type with an armored slope here. 226, that'll do. You can see the heavy angle here. The shell will grab. See, if it hits it at a parallel angle, or say the shell goes straight in from my camera's perspective and goes straight on and hits the armor there, it's gonna scrape the bottom of the shell, or the side of the shell, and it'll grab it and push the nose into the armor and allow it to dig in and fully penetrate rather than ricocheting. However, if the armor is at too steep of an angle, like that, as we saw with the M4 Sherman in the last clip, it'll just completely bounce off. Actually, I'm going to double check the armor thickness of the armor at that angle. What was that? If it was... okay, yeah, it was around there. Yeah, it was within the limits of the penetration of my gun, but it still bounced because it's well-rounded and it's decently thick. And the normalization wasn't there because it's rounded here. It's difficult for it to grab. There's not as much surface area for it to grab here as it is for flat armor like you see. That's the B-17. I don't want that on the M4. It's flat here, which means that it's easier for it to grab and then fully penetrate. Whereas, get message on Discord. But here, it's rounded, means there's less surface area for the side of the shell to grab and go in. So that's how that works. And I believe I've covered everything. If I did miss anything or I did get anything wrong, I'm not an expert on this. Just trying to give out a good guide for anyone who's new to the game and just wants a bit of help and staying alive longer on the tanks. Then post in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. See ya!